This is Andi Purewal for ID Boxing. We are here in Las Vegas and I'm joined by Robert Garcia. Robert, it's always a pleasure to see you. How's life? How are things going?
Thanks for having me. Everything's going great, staying busy. That's the main thing.
Staying busy indeed, and you have the return of Bam Rodriguez, a man whose supreme talent has really started to gain that recognition and credit over this last year or so. Firstly, just on that front, how happy are you for Bam that he's finally getting recognised as being one of the best talents in the world? Because I remember interviewing you, I think it was on the Mikey Garcia Sandor Martin card, and you just exclaimed about how good of a talent, especially a talent, you have on your hands.
You know what? This kid, nobody knew who he was until we got that opportunity from Matchroom. I knocked at doors everywhere, and I did get a few spots at some shows, but they never showed so much interest, until he performed with on a matchroom card in October. Then they put him then again in February, and then they tell us if he was willing to move up 2 divisions to fight Cuadras, and we took it, and that was the beginning of it. I knew it 4 or 5 years ago, but the world didn't know until then.
You've certainly unearthed a gem there, Robert, but how happy are you for him on a personal level? Because I always see the photos of when he was just a young boy and you first met him.
Great, because not only he's one of the most talented fighters that I've ever worked with, but he's also such a great kid, great person. Him and his brother Joshua Franco are great kids, very dedicated. Their dad, their mom did a great job, and that's what makes us even more happier to have them in my camp.
Israel Gonzalez, the man in the opposite corner to Bam on Saturday night. What are you expecting from this fight? Speaking to Sean Gibbons, he's very confident in his man.
You know what? Great kid, man. Great fighter. Very durable guy. Very tough. He's gotten the distance with some of the great fighters in the division. So we expect a tough fight. This kid is very tough. He's tall, has a good reach advantage. So we got to be smart. We got to take it fight by fight. At least that's what Bam. That's what's in his mind. He doesn't want to talk about future fights. He wants to talk about this fight because it's a great test for him.
I know you don't want to talk about future fights, but I'm going to pose some to you anyway. You do, he doesn't, sorry. Eddie Hearn mentioned to me just when I interviewed him the potential winner of Chocolatito and Estrada. Now, of course, I know both Chocolatito and Bam are with Tekken, which makes things a little bit more complicated, but is that a likely potential avenue for you guys?
Those are Eddie Hearn's plans, not my plans.
So what are Robert Garcia's plans?
You know what? On a perfect plan for me, and I'm not saying that's the exact way it's going to go because we do have a promoter and we got to work together obviously, but I want Bam to get down to 112, dominate the 112 division. Joshua Franco is his brother and he's a champion at 115, so I want him to take the 115 and Bam the 112 on a perfect plan, which it's also something that I have to talk it over with the promotion because that's just the way it works. But if it was to be like that, I don't think we will get a Chocolatito fight because Mr. Honda would never want to see that. Chocolatito could fight Franco. That's a fight that we could do, and Bam could fight Gallo. No problem. It doesn't matter who wins. They're both big names. If Chocolatito wins, then he could fight Franco, and Gallo loses, he could fight Bam, or vice versa. Vice versa we can't because Bam and Chocolatito won't fight because of Mr. Honda. So hopefully Chocolatito wins. That way, Chocolatito could fight Josh, and Bam can fight Gallo.
Another name at 112 who's been calling for the fight from the UK is Mr. Sonny Edwards. Now, I know you've been asked about him before, Robert, but is he in your plans? Is he somebody you think you could see Bam facing it? Maybe even over in the UK?
Anybody at 112. You know what? I know he was scheduled to fight Martinez. I really don't know what happened. The fight didn't happen. So, yes, I want Bam to get down to 112, and we'll definitely travel to the UK to fight Sonny Edwards. Sonny Edwards is probably the best at the division, so we don't want to go and pick the easiest one. We want to go against the best. I want to show that Bam is the best, pound for pound, one of the best pound for pound fighters in the world, and he has to fight the best to prove that.
What do you make of Sonny as a fighter? Just kind of break down him for me and the obstacles or challenges he'd present to Bam.
Great fighter, great boxer. I think it's a great challenge, but those are the challenges that we need to take to prove that we're the best. Won't be easy, obviously. It won't be easy for either side. But if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And I think at 112, Anthony Edwards is the man. So that's the fight that I would prefer. But at the end, like I said, there's also Eddie Hearn who might have a different idea. We have to go back and forth with him to make him decide what I want.
What you want?
Yes, what I want. I get away with with things.
Robert, away from BAM, obviously going back to Saudi Arabia. Anthony Joshua unsuccessful in his attempt to reclaim the unified crown. Just reflect on the fight firstly for me, Robert.
You know what? Very happy, very proud of what Anthony did. I think he did a lot better than anybody expected. I think he did much better than the first fight. He did stuff that we trained, going to the body and stuff like that. Could we have done a little bit more? Yes, but it was all a learning experience. It was my first training camp with him, and going in there against the best heavyweight out there. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, going in there against the best heavyweight out there on our first fight together. Definitely was not easy. But did he do better? Yes, he did. Can he do much better in the future? 100%. I think if we continue working together, I think he could. Me again. He's got a promotional team. He's got a management team. So they're gonna decide what's next. But me personally, my personal plan would be, if I could get away with it, 2 or 3 fights against top 10, 15 fighters, and then go after a third fight against Usyk or maybe Fury. That would be my perfect plan, just like we just said about Bam. That would be my perfect plan. But at the end, he's got a great management team. He's got Eddie Hearn. So if the Tyson Fury fight does happen, then I'd be more than happy to be part of the team and prepare him. And I think he's got the skills. I think Anthony's got skills. He's got great power, good speed. So I think he's got a chance. Why not?
Rob, you mentioned a number of topics there which I do want to touch on, but just to kind of stick with the Usyk fight, how did you score it? I'm sure you've probably watched it back by now, so how did you score the fight?
You know what? I think the last 3 rounds is what made the difference. I think after the 9th round, if we would have done this, if Anthony would, ifs don't count. It didn't happen. It wasn't a 9th round. It wasn't a 9-round fight either. That's why it's a 12-round fight, a championship fight. So there's no excuses. Usyk came back stronger than I expected at the last 3 rounds, and he surprised the world, and he pulled it off. Congratulations to him. He's a great fighter, great person. He has a great team. I'm happy for them. But I think we were ahead. After the 9th round, I thought we were in control. I thought we were winning. On 2 judges, we were. The last 3 rounds is what made the difference.
Robert, the first 3 rounds is something which was a talking point because a few people were critical of you thinking that, or maybe suggesting that AJ was ahead and he'd won all first 3 rounds. Can you just kind of explain as to how you felt he was in that comfortable position in your eyes?
You know what? A fighter you have to know your fighter, and the months that I was with him, Anthony is a type of fighter, different than others. Other fighters, you got to motivate them by telling them you're behind so they could push even harder. The fights were the rounds, weren't, they were somehow, they could have been close. I really don't know what the judges had. So you got to motivate. With Anthony, you got to motivate him in a positive way. If I have a Brandon Rios who is totally different, then I'm gonna talk to him different. So you got to learn how to talk to your fighters. You can't talk to every one of your fighters the same way. There's some fighters that get affected if I mention something that I had that situation. I'm not gonna say which fighter it was, but we were losing a fight, and then at the last round or the last few rounds, I said things, to try to not even instructions, just motivating him, using, stuff, to motivate him. And at the end of the fight, he told me that affected him even more because he didn't like the fact that, what I mentioned, nothing to do with the game plan. So every fighter is different. So, it was just me working my corner, trying to motivate my fighter to give it more and to do better.
Does Anthony struggle with criticism?
You know what? Anthony's is a very smart person. He's very smart. He's not a person that takes things the wrong way. He's a smart person, but he's not how can I say this? He started boxing at 18, so he's not deep into boxing like all these other fighters that have so much experience since they were 8 years old. They had 400 amateur fights. He's not that type of fighter. He's still a little green when it comes to criticism, to things where might affect him if he hears stuff like that, because he doesn't have the experience like other fighters. I didn't even know that he started at 18 until I came to England. That's for him to win a gold medal 3 years after he started boxing with only 60 or 70 amateur fights and a two-time heavyweight champion. That's a lot, man. That says a lot about him. He's accomplished so much. You hardly ever see that.
What was it like in the corner with Angel Fernandez? Because it's something that other people have suggested that again, you need one dominant voice who you listen to throughout the fight. How did you find that dynamic on fight night?
You know what? Me and Angel worked very well. Since we met the first day last October, we were always in touch, always on the same page. So I think we communicated very well during training camp. We always, if I was saying something, he would let me talk. I would let him talk, but we were always on the same page. So I have no problem working with Angel. He was great. He's hungry to become great at this business. He's hungry to be the best in boxing, and he's getting there. He's got a great team, great fighters that are doing very well. So I think he's going to be one of the best trainers in the UK and soon in the world. Because he wants to learn and he wants to get better. He respects me and I respect him. You know what? Maybe the fighter does need only that one person, just like with my fighters, But if you guys see Saturday with Bam, I'm gonna be inside, but I have my son and Chepe on each side, and you're gonna see them talk too. That doesn't affect the fighter because we're all in the same page. So same thing with Angel and Anthony. You watch every corner. That's one thing people want to maybe talk about. Oh, there was two people talking. Well, watch everybody. Whoever you watch, there's always more than one people talking. It doesn't matter who the trainer is, or it doesn't matter who the fighter is. Every fight you see, you're gonna see more than one people talking. You mention every fight, you're gonna hear two or three voices. That doesn't affect. If the team is in the same page and the fighter's hearing what they're all talking about, it's the same thing.
Emotions were obviously running high after a fight. We saw Anthony leave and come back and gave a speech in the ring. What did you make of that scenario?
You know what? I wasn't close when that happened, so at first I didn't really see what started everything. So I can't really say much. I from what I understand, from what I seen is when Anthony grabbed the belts, I actually thought he was gonna go like give him back like congratulations, you took these belts, but he threw them. That's when it cut me off guard. The good thing is that he came back inside the ring after, apologized, and Usyk was okay with it too. But I didn't really see how it started. Do I think Anthony could have done something a little bit better than that? Yes, but after a fight like that, man, his reaction was just, that was his reaction, and thought was necessary. We can blame him also. He's a fighter. He's in there. He loses. Some fighters take it a different way. I can't criticize that. I haven't seen something like that before, but I can't criticize either because it was him that lost, and the crowd. It was just difficult. It's just a difficult situation to be in.
Since then, you've said you want him to come out to America and train with you guys in Oxnard. How's that been received by him? Is he happy to do that? Is it something he's considering?
You know what? I haven't talked to him about that. I talked to the team, the management team, before I left, and they all said they would like that also. But at the end, it's going to be his decision. I think he would do so much better, honestly, training around Jesse Rodriguez, Franco, Jose Ramirez, and all the young talent that I have. It's not only that he's going to train with them, he's going to compete with them. They're going to train together. They're going to push each other. They all want to be better than the other. So I think that would help a lot. I would love that.
How much have you spoken with Anthony since the fight?
Not with Anthony. I've spoken a lot with Angel Fernandez and with the management team, Freddie and the rest of the guys, at least twice a week. We're staying in touch, but not with Anthony.
Moving forward, you mentioned the potential to kind of move and engineer a position in a fight with Tyson Fury further down the line, but it's currently being discussed. What are your thoughts when you heard of an offer being made from Tyson Fury to Anthony Joshua?
Well, look, it's a huge fight. It's the biggest fight in the UK, so it's a fight that actually needs to happen. If sooner than later, it needs to happen. Would I prefer it to happen 2, 3 fights from now? Yes, but it's a big fight. It's a big business, and his management team is very smart. When it comes to negotiations and the final decisions, so they'll make the right decision. But me personally, if I'm not a businessman, I'd rather him take 2 or 3 fights before anything huge.
I was going to say, from the sounds of it, you don't believe it's the right move to make. It'd be easy for him to kind of get his confidence back, get a good win under his belt. So how would you guide his career? If you could kind of think of maybe a heavyweight to come back and face in December, who would you like to see him face?
Well, no, there's no names in my mind. There's so many names out there, but there's not one in particular. I just know there's a lot that he could fight and he could perform well. Even against Fury, he could perform well. Anthony took the rematch with Usyk right away. When he could have easily taken 2 or 3 fights before that, he took it right away because he wants those challenges too. So if this challenge is there and he wants to take it, he'll take it and he'll go out and train and we'll do our best job to go out there and win. The fight won't be easy, but is it winnable? Yes, we could win that fight. I think Anthony has a great jab, great power, and great speed also. So can he catch him? Of course.
What would Anthony have to do to be successful against Tyson Fury, a man who's never lost in the professional ranks? What would AJ have to do to win that fight?
Well, fight very smart, be AJ, but I would say train a little bit harder. Just because you need that extra round, that extra 2 rounds, that extra 3 rounds that you lost at the end of Usyk's fight. Just train a little bit harder because he does. He's got great skills, great power, great speed. I just think that extra push in the gym to go out there and not allow to get tired like he did in the last 3 rounds.
That's an interesting point you make because Deontay Wilder said that he saw AJ and thought he gassed him before his stamina ran out. Is it something that you saw yourself? Was you critical of it maybe in camp? Can you elaborate?
It was my first camp with him, so he's had so many fights before that he's used to training like that. But me being the new guy, he trained well. He trained good. He did his rounds. He did everything he was supposed to. But now, after this fight, after we lost and after the last 2 rounds, do I think we need to push him a little bit more? Yes, I do.
You said you don't necessarily want the Fury fight next. You'd rather have 2, 3 fights with him to ease into that. But do you believe it will happen next?
You know what? I believe if it happens, it won't happen December 3rd because I think there's just not enough time. I think to promote the fight and everything, it might be a little bit pushing it too soon. But if it does, then we'll be ready, man. I would, Anthony's one of those guys that's always in shape. He's always doing his workouts, running, at least staying healthy. So with a good 8 camp. 8 week training camp, it's more than enough.
Would you believe that to be enough to beat Tyson, to be prepared to at least beat Tyson?
In a real training camp where you're focused, that's all the fighter. Jesse, doesn't need more than 6 to 8 weeks of training camp. That's all they need because they're always staying in shape. They're always when they're off training camps, they're still running, they're eating healthy. So when it comes to training camp, 6 to 8 weeks is all a fighter needs.
Would you, as the trainer, then have a cut-off point as to when you would like to have a definitive answer if AJ was to face Tyson on December 3rd?
Well, you know what? As soon as possible, yes. But it's the negotiations, the business is so much different, and I'm not involved in it, so I'm gonna let them do their work and do whatever's best for them, for the team, for Anthony especially, and they'll let me know. You know what? Anything could happen in this boxing. It's a sport full of surprises, so if it does happen, I'll be more than happy to be part of it.
Just a couple of other fights I want to get your thoughts on. Firstly, sticking with the heavyweights, Joe Joyce and Joseph Parker fight next weekend in the UK. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm not very familiar with either of them. I've seen them, but I have to go back and study and see to pick. But those are huge fights. I see that when it comes the time that I spend in the UK, huge fights over there, man. Then the A's with Conor Ben and Nigel and Ben and Eubank. Those are another huge fight. Fights that might not mean much over here in the United States, but over there they're huge. There's a lot of boxing over there, and I love the way the fans are when it comes to their fighters, and heavyweights to middleweights, whatever it is, they have great shows, great fights.
Final one, obviously, Canelo-Golovkin 3 on Saturday night. I haven't asked about it yet. Your take, your thoughts, Robert. What happens in the trilogy?
Man, you know what? I pick Canelo, maybe even a stoppage, but I wouldn't be surprised if Triple G brings one of his best performances, because a lot of fighters, when they're towards the end of their career, they're getting closer up there in age, they have that one last time, and this could be it for Triple G. I would love to see that.
You'd love to see Triple G win?
Well, I would love to see a fight like so good, and if Triple G wins, hell yeah, I would love to see that. But I think Canelo's going to win, obviously. I would love to see a 40-year-old come even better than ever and win. But I think Canelo's going to win.
Well, Robert, I appreciate your time now. Thank you for speaking to me in ID Boxing.
Got it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Robert.